I'm Nancy Showalter, and you're listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect podcast. Welcome, all radical paradigm shifters and creative change makers. You who dare to create a better life and a better world. Tap into the power that resides within you and use that power for constructive change. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect. I'm Nancy Showalter, and today we're unlocking one of the most liberating spiritual principles there is: responsibility. Not as blame, but think of it in a different way: the ability to respond. This episode's about reclaiming your power, mastering your reactions, and remembering, very important, that no one controls your inner world except you. So let's dive in. Most people associate responsibility with burden or guilt or duty or blame. But the deeper spiritual meaning is something very different. Think of responsibility as response-ability, the ability to respond versus react, the ability to consciously choose your response. Now, where does reaction come from? And what's the difference between reaction and responding? Many people don't even think in these terms, so it's very important to understand that reaction comes from conditioning, old habits, or fear, feeling threatened, whereas response comes from awareness and inner mastery. Now, remember the spiritual adage: you are never a victim of circumstances unless you choose to be. Now, responsibility is not about fault. Actually, it's about freedom. The freedom to choose how you think, feel, and act. No government or no parent or partner, no boss, and especially no stranger can force you to think or feel anything. Yes, they can influence, but only you decide what enters your consciousness. So let's look at some ways to describe the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is usually a very automatic response to something that triggers something within us, either from a memory or feeling we're being accused or whatever. It's emotional, many times fear-based, very disempowering, and it really reinforces victimhood, which nobody really wants to be in that role. What's the difference when you respond? When you respond, it's like taking a step backwards, and you are aware. You're aware, you're thoughtful, you're grounded, and you're keeping in that alignment and attunement with your higher self. It's very empowering. And actually, you're creating karma consciously, good karma, because you're taking a step back, you're centered in your higher self, and then you respond to a situation with a whole different perspective than just emotional reaction. This builds your spiritual mastery also, and emotional mastery, and your whole psychology. Elizabeth Clare Prophet taught that every moment we choose between the human ego and the higher self. So this happens every moment. When we react, the outer self leads. When we respond, the I am presence, the God within you, leads. A really good example, the late Wayne Dyer. He has this great orange example. He says, "No one makes you angry without your consent." He loved to tell this story about a woman who once said to him, "Dr. Dyer, my husband makes me so angry." And he said he just smiled gently and said, "No one can make you angry unless you allow them inside. What they do is what they do. What you feel is what you choose." Then, his famous orange analogy, which is actually quite brilliant. He says, if you squeeze an orange, what comes out? orange juice. Why? Because that's what's inside the orange. And when life squeezes you, and this could be anything from stress or criticism or conflict, what comes out of you is what you've been storing inside. So ask yourself, are you storing anger, fear, judgment, or peace, patience, love? The squeeze doesn't put any of this inside of you. It simply reveals what's already inside, just like the orange and the orange juice. This is responsibility in action. You don't control what others say or do, but you do control what you hold within and how you respond. No one may enter the chamber of your consciousness unless you open the door. Responsibility is inner sovereignty. Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom is not outer circumstances. It's your inner consciousness. Think about it. Jesus never taught, you will be blessed if Rome behaves, or you'll have peace when everyone else stops irritating you. No, quite the opposite. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and choose this day whom you will serve. You cannot be a victim and a creator at the same time. Responsibility is choosing to be the creator. Now let's look at Viktor Frankl. You may know he was a great psychiatrist. He was a Holocaust survivor. He wrote one of the most profound statements on responsibility ever recorded. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Frankl lived through horrors beyond imagination in the concentration camps. And yet he realized they could control my environment. They can control my body. They can control my food, my work, my freedom, but they cannot control my inner world. He wrote, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude. This cannot be taken from you. Circumstances do not dictate your consciousness. Only your choices do. And responsibility is not blaming yourself for the outer conditions. It's claiming the supreme power of choice within those conditions. Let's look at responsibility and the I am presence. The I am presence is the true responder. When you choose to respond rather than react, you're literally allowing your higher self to act through you. Try using some of these affirmations, or similar ones you can write yourself. I am the presence, choosing my responses with wisdom and love. Another one, I am the master of my world. Nothing moves me from my center. And one of my favorite ones is, when facing a difficult situation that you cannot readily see a solution, just decree, mighty I am presence, you take command of this situation. I shall not be moved. And you stay anchored in your higher self and allow God within you to work it out in the best interests of all concerned. Responsibility isn't heavy. It's empowering. It's the moment you stop giving your power away. So, how do we do this? How do we learn to respond and not react? Well, you may be doing this in many ways already. But there are always those times when some circumstance is going to trigger that need or desire or automatic reaction to simply react. So let's look at some practical ways that you can, tools you can use so that you train yourself to respond and not react. Number one, and this is probably most important actually, is pause before speaking. It's kind of like that space that Viktor Frankl talked about. And that's where you first gain the step of control. Response requires that moment of awareness. Another tool you can check is your body. If your chest tightens or your jaw clenches or you start to get very uptight, that's a sign you're about to react. So that stepping back gives you that moment to choose a different response. You can ask your higher self, what is the most loving, wise response in this moment? Now, you don't have to say this out loud. You can just simply think it, ask it mentally. Then there's the violet flame that clears the energy. So you want to clear the emotional charge from a situation. A mantra in the name of the I am that I am. Blaze a violet flame through this reaction now and simply dissolve and consume it with the spiritual fire of the violet flame. Then you always want to look for a lesson. What is this teaching me? What is being revealed to me that is ready to be healed? Responsibility always reveals opportunity. And remember, responsibility is spiritual freedom. It's not about blame. It's about power. The power to choose your direction, choose your vibration, your thoughts, your feelings, and your future. It's the recognition that I'm not a victim. I'm not at the mercy of life. I'm not controlled by others. I'm a creator. I'm a co-worker with God. I am endowed with the ability to respond consciously. Wayne Dyer taught it. Viktor Frankl lived it. Jesus embodied it. And the Ascended Masters champion it. Responsibility is the foundation of spiritual mastery and the key to inner freedom. Make your decision now that you will master responsibility. Thank you for being with me today, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, download, and comment. I'd love to hear from you, and your support is much appreciated. And don't forget to go to theawakeningnow.com for free bonuses and information on my new book, You Were Born to Be a Christ, but You Were Taught You Are a Sinner. Awaken to who you really are. See you next week.